Blessings, everybody. Good tidings, great joy, inspiration, all kinds of good stuff from Chi Life Ministries to you. This is Daniel and our little weekly chat. And, this week, say hi, Daniel.
Hi.
So we've had a week now to go within to identify really how we are going to operate our systems between the food ministry, just the ministry, and how we are breaking that down. And we wanted to share that with you guys if you have any ideas for us that you feel like would comfort you or anyone in this world in these trying times out there. People are having some meltdowns, and we want to hold space where you don't have to go through those meltdowns.
Or, well,
That-
I wouldn't even
in a
go
painful way.
I wouldn't even go that far. I would say
Right,
we're here to
yeah.
hold space where you can go through those
Yeah.
meltdowns
Great way to say it.
and know that we may not be able to be there physically while you're going through certain things, but we can still hold space for you. And I think that a lot of us are going through a lot of stress right now. People don't have anywhere to go. Sometimes a lot of people are trying to find a place to live right now. A lot of different things. Food is expensive. Gas is expensive. Your job's the money you're getting paid is not going as far as it was, and there's all this stress going on, and it's showing up both socioeconomically in the outer world, but it's also showing up like panic attacks and meltdowns and all kinds of stuff. I'm seeing it all over the place in my personal life and in the outside world as well. And it seems like for a lot of people they have like on certain sides of things, like when I was a kid, that the refuge, the safe space from that was church, and that was Christian Pentecostal church, and nothing wrong with that. It's just no longer where I see myself going in my life. But at the same time, I still recognize this need for that space to where we can all come together as a corporate family and work through a lot of this stuff, like accountability, have people to hold ourselves accountable to, a place that we can come to and heal together, do the work together. And
Excuse us, there's a thing going by.
And talk about different tools that we can use. How can we come together collectively to work through our shadow, as a group of 10 to 15 individuals or maybe more, and just, working on things like nonviolent communication, working on things like how do we interact with our kids and not get mad and snap at them, because I could use some help with that, but things like that, the practical, everyday things that can help us manage the stress that's happening in the world right now. Space for that. And so, like, what does that look like for us? We can sit here and we can talk about creating all these different new things and how do we create a food system and how to create all these other things, but when it boils down to it, how do we take care of ourselves, when we got to go to bed at night, how do we go to sleep and actually sleep? Some people are so stressed out they can't even go to sleep, how do we get healthy enough to even have the space to worry about our food? Because right now it's hard enough, and so we're just all like going to Walmart and Taco Bell, because everybody's going to Taco Bell right now. I don't know if you know that. Mexican pizza it's made a comeback, and so everybody's going to. The last 2 days, Taco Bell just increased its profit share by like how many billion?
Yeah.
Just because everybody wanted to go get a Mexican pizza. Yay, capitalism, right? But no, so basically, I think that for me, it looks a lot like how do we transition from this idea of we've got to fix all these problems to how do we just come and be together?
We've talked about Chi Life Center. I call it the center, but that's Chi Life Ministries. The location is the center.
Mm-hmm.
And our words underneath it are holding space for good neighbors. That's what we're doing. We're to be good neighbors. We're holding space to be good neighbors. And really, that's what we're talking about. And to be a good neighbor, to be an authentic neighbor, to be a serving neighbor, to be a
Mhm.
loving, to be an abundant neighbor. It sure is nice to have a place to go and have these kind of conversations about what's going on in your life, and that might be with one person that's there, or maybe we sit down together and offer direction somehow, just in general conversation.
And it doesn't have to look like, me and Bates being pastors. I know
Right.
we use those words, and those are just words, right? Like,
But we're gonna
no.
sit in the circle looking just like this with you.
Yeah, and cause I got shit too. I've got problems too. I've got issues that I've got to work through. So does Bates. I can tell you all about it.
That's good.
But no, so
You
like
always say
we've all
funny
got
stuff.
we've got to be able to sit around and help each other work through our shit so that we're not exploding all over our families, because that's what's happening right now, right? Because that's what I'm seeing everywhere around me is everybody's having meltdowns. Everybody's, worried about money, and all these things are contributing to stresses, and it's hurting us in so many different ways, and we're hurting each other in so many different ways.
It's so funny you bring it up this way. My focus, and it's so nice to be able to balance out what people are seeing, because we all see maybe the same story, but in a different.
Use different language.
We use different language, and it looks different for each other.
Yeah.
So where you're seeing that, and I know that's going on, what I've seen this week has been quite the contrary to that, which
Yeah.
is a lot of people really expanding themselves into who they're becoming. And I think as we go through that, we talked about it happened a couple of weeks ago, and the more I've heard about that this week and felt about that, is we knew, even then I said, it's going to take, everybody ain't just popping at the same time into anything.
No, and
we all have these different levels, but it's coming together generally, and we begin to pop more and more and more and more, like the 11th monkey. Is that what it was?
12 monkeys.
The 12th monkey. The thing where the
Oh, you're talking about the 100 monkeys.
The 100 monkey.
Yeah, 100 monkeys. 12 monkeys is a Bruce Willis.
That's a Bruce
movie.
Willis movie, right. Not the same movie, but where that happens, that's what's happening in our waking up and finding peace with ourselves and forgiving all of those things we must forgive, so we don't have to hold on to it anymore.
Well, and two, like, what does that even look like?
Yeah, what does that look like?
What does that look like? Like, how do we? But we can't. You and I can sit here and talk all day long about what that looks like, but we will never know what that looks like until we actually sit down together and start doing
That's
that
right.
together.
So that's what we're holding space for, is true healing, true, as clean and clear as we can be in space together, serving each other in such inspiration and love, that's where you want to hang out. That's where you want to
Yeah.
share your ideas. And we're talking about the church now. So what we're going to do is the Sunday service at 12.
And I don't even want to call it service,
Right.
Bates. It's a potluck.
I just came out because I'm so programmed. It's a
We're
potluck.
going to have a potluck at 12 on the 29th. I think that's the date.
We are calling it Chi Church, right?
Or whatever. I don't know.
It seems
We
to
can
work.
figure it out.
People seem to like
But yeah,
it when I say
sure,
it.
we
So
can
I
call
don't
it
know.
Chi Church.
It's kind of fun sounding. It's not.
But we're going to have a potluck, and we're going to sit around, and we're just going to just be vulnerable and see what happens. And we'll figure it out together. We don't know. I don't
There'll
know
be
what it is.
music. Well, there'll be
Maybe.
there's gonna. Oh, I promise.
Maybe
there's
I'll
gonna
lay
be music.
hands on you, and the Spirit will fall, and there won't be any need for music. Bates, the Holy
I
Ghost
love
showed up,
music,
and the
right?
pastor didn't even have to preach. That's how
Right,
powerful
that's how
it was.
Powerful it was, right?
Well, I mean, like, I just don't want to put any kind of expectations on what it's going to look like, other than let's come together and share food together.
And if you have a guitar, please bring it. We'll sing.
I've got a guitar, and I will bring my guitar just in case you want to play it.
Don't.
But no, I mean, we could. I don't want to put any constraints
Sure.
on it. That's where I'm going with that.
Sure.
But like, let's let it look and feel like what we want it as a body together to look
Yeah.
like. You know.
And the reason I say that is some people like a little structure. Some people say, okay, we're
Yeah.
going to sing right now. Some people, I like it. I like to be kind of guided into some fun stuff. And so, let's come together and figure out what that looks like for each
Yeah.
of us,
Yeah.
while having a very open forum to express ourselves and to do some healing on those days, whether we're doing it we got together over here in a group,
Mm-hmm.
after we ate or whatever, or we go over there to a larger group, where we can actually, with the intention of healing that day, coming there for healing and being vulnerable
What
and
can that
expressing
look like?
ourselves.
You
What can
know?
that look like?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to look like anything specific. It doesn't have to look like, you know, Reiki sessions or, you know, crystal chanting or whatever. Now, I mean, it can. I'm not opposed to any of that stuff, of course. But it can also look like just people sitting with each other and eating together, because I've seen healing come out of that.
Oh,
You know, we don't. There doesn't have to be any pressure to heal. Even we can just be there with each other, because sometimes the growth happens just by being in pain with each other.
Oh, it's a baby bug, a little baby ladybug. Can you see it?
Maybe it's a ladybug. I don't know.
No, it's a
It might be
ladybug.
one of them Chinese beetles.
No, it's
I don't
a
know.
total ladybug. Anyway.
So, anyways, May 29th. Let's, you know, just keep talking about it. And
Is it the 29th or 27th?
well, I don't have
It's
my
Sunday.
phone
It's
on
the
me.
last Sunday of the month. I think it is the 29th.
Yeah. So the last Sunday of the month.
It's kind of our Memorial Day grand
Yeah.
hello
Yeah.
to you.
Sunday at noon. Let's
Yeah.
plan on meeting together and eating some food together.
Bring a dish, bring a drink if you'd like, and we'll all share everything.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
man, so that's Chi. I'm just gonna start calling it Chi Church because I like the name of it. And please get over the words if you don't like it, or we'll change them together. So that's kind of where I am with it. You call it what you want.
Sure.
How's that?
Yeah.
So we got that coming up, and then we will have different nights where we do different things. Just, you know, for instance, Tuesday nights, looking like, if it is Tuesday night, I'm looking at Tuesday night, and that will be like the Resource Network night, where people come to share who they are while collaborating with others to assist their businesses, to assist the things, their passions in life, where they gain their fulfillment, and however those resources are exchanged. That's what that might can look like with the barter systems that we have set up, the alternative economies to do that.
And those are tools we can use, but it doesn't have to be what it looks like either. We can, like Bates and I were talking earlier about, you know, what if us taking care of our food needs doesn't look like creating a food distribution network, but what if it looks like everybody just helping each other garden in their house, farm at their house?
Yeah.
You know, and what does that? But
what does that look like?
What does that look like, and how does that work? And you know, what can we do? You know, I've got experience with, you know, organizing, you know, volunteer gardening, community gardening, all that kind of stuff. So like, there's all kinds of different options that we can work with and do, and you know, but what does that look like for us? You know, maybe some of us can't do any yard work or gardening or anything like that, but they want to, you know, they've got a really large kitchen, and we can use their kitchen to do some
Come autumn time, do
you
some
know?
canning, and,
You know?
and when it's time to do that.
So, or you know, so what does that look like for us as a group of people taking care of each other first and foremost? Not necessarily, you know, how do we make money together, but how do we take care of each other together? And then, because out of that, we still live in the context of this capitalist world. So out of that, there's going to be a natural expression that goes and takes care of our bills, right?
That's right.
But
and we have a couple of ways to do that now too.
Yeah, and
so we get to talk about these things on
ways.
Tuesday nights, and so I mean, we have a lot of ways now that we're starting to move money around, and some of it is not with money.
Yeah,
you know. So that
but Sundays
it's happening.
Sundays we want to specifically focus on our healing together, what that can look like, and then, you know,
come what may
with other things. Tuesday nights we can talk about other things. We might could do you know, a study group night, you know, whatever we want it to look like. But let's come together on, you know, the last Sunday of May, and you know, just start that conversation, start holding that space together, and see what grows out of it.
Yeah, right on. So let's talk about this week. What's been coming up for you? I know you it seemed like you've seen a lot of pain coming out of people.
Well,
this week.
And that's the thing. That's like been what I've been seeing around me a lot lately is everything from people having implosions to explosions, and everything from, you know, housing being an issue is a very pressing issue. Either you can't find a house or you're losing your house. Homelessness is up like crazy. I personally am very well connected, and a lot of my family and friends are all within the outliers and the minorities and the more oppressed peoples, the marginalized peoples, let's put it that way. And whether it's fair or not, they tend to be the canary in the situation, you know, the canary in the cave kind of thing. And what I'm seeing is that the pressure coming from rising gas prices, rising food prices, rising housing costs, and not a rising income is stress, 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 stress on top of stress with a lot of people, and it hurts.
It does
It's
hurt.
hurting a lot
It's
of
hurting
people.
a lot of people.
And
again,
some of us have a cushion. Some of us, you know, do well enough or have figured out our lives well
figured
enough,
out our ways enough to maneuver through
have
this
enough
where it's
privilege.
not. Well, and even where it's not our main priority, if you can, and we talked about it a little last week, but if we can find a way to not make all that money such a priority, and that takes only you doing it. You've got to figure out how you're going to live between it all, but that's what we're doing together. We're creating space to live between all of that chaos going on, and to be able to manage it just fine.
And you can't do it by yourself.
And you can't do it by yourself.
You can't do it by yourself. You've got to have community around you. You have to
I believe that with
create
everything.
networks of people around you.
Now, not to say you don't need time all by yourself in silence with just you, nature, your animals, art, your music, whatever it is that just allows you to leave and be silent in the silence with yourself. That's very important too, you know. We got to balance all this stuff that we've learned over the years.
Yeah, and it's funny because you say that's all the stuff that we've learned over the years. I know you and I both learned that when you live in community, 20 people on top of each other all the time with no real space away from each other all the time. Isn't going to be healthy.
You can get some headache.
Yeah, I know.
You don't want headache in community.
Yeah.
It's too much headache.
Yeah, you need to have the ability to have alone time and to not have to be around everybody. And
I mean, as an example, one of the things I've learned in community over the last 40 years that I have lived and worked in communities, the one thing I'm really okay with now is like, you got your own space when you live in community. You might can move in with somebody and get. This is how I do my community. This is how it works when you work with Bates, like up at Chief Arms and stuff. You might move in together, but within a very short amount of time, you need to have your own space so you can go back and forth. Y'all can have your times. We're going through times now that are more changing than maybe possibly ever in like zillions of years. We're going through a really big shift, and you need time alone, a place where you can get quiet, do whatever it is you do, but it's not in the other person's house.
It used to be you could just go wander off into the woods and you'd be all right because you had all the.
Sure.
That's where you lived, was in the woods, anyways.
Yeah.
Right? You like.
Yeah.
But we don't have that now. We all live in little boxes.
And I believe in community, man, you need your own space.
Yeah, you need to be able to have your box.
When those blow-ups happen within you or outside of you,
Yeah.
you need somewhere to go to get clear, to get away from the community while you go through your stuff. You don't want to bring that into the community. You don't want to bring division into this place that we're trying to work together with. But it does happen, and we will be there to support you.
If it does happen, and when it does happen,
as long as we're communicating.
When it does happen, because it will
does
happen.
Right.
This is the space that we've cultivated. It's the space that we don't have to feel ashamed to bring our pain and our hurt to the table, but we are going to be held accountable for our behavior.
Absolutely.
You know?
But and the accountability really is you just come there knowing you're not placing judgment or blame or anything on anyone in this group or anything. You're expressing what you're going through, and we'll be here to listen to that. That's what we do.
Yeah.
We listen. You know, everybody needs a therapist these days. They don't have to have a specific kind of therapist. They need people they can talk to.
Your feelings are valid. What you do about them may or may not be healthy, and that's where being around other people that help you stay accountable is. Yeah, I mean, it's worth its weight in gold.
It's everything, man. It changes the way you live.
You know, it's funny. I said something to someone one time. I said, accountability is the currency of the future. For one, you can't count. You can't cancel accountability. And we live in this day and age where everybody's like, oh, cancel this, cancel that, whenever we don't like something. But the reality is if I have a community of people around me that I hold myself accountable to,
Right.
for one, that community is going to treat me in a whole different way than what we see outside in the world around us right now.
That's right.
For one.
Yeah.
And for two, if anybody on the outside tries to say, hey, Daniel's doing this, that, or the other, I mean, I've got receipts. I've got the receipts to all my behavior because y'all see it. It's all like I hold myself accountable to everybody around me. Bates, you can call me any day, time of the week and say, hey, Daniel, I heard this about you. And you know that I'll be straight up with you and we'll talk about it and I'm not going to be mad at you.
Right.
And we might yell at each other, but that doesn't mean that I'm mad at you, right?
No, because we just get excited. When we have conversations, we get really loud sometimes. We're like, wow, we're going to have to work our way through this, and we work through it.
Yeah,
we've been doing this for years, man. I remember we used to have some knockdown drag outs.
But that's the thing, though.
In a good way.
We've learned to hold each other accountable to each other. We've learned through years of saying, hey, I'm going to think about Bates when I make this decision. Hey, I'm going to think about Daniel when I make this decision. And out of that has come the ability to work together in ways that I wouldn't be able to work with other people. Yeah. Like I can't work with other people the way that I work with you because they can't.
They're not doing that.
They're
doing something different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And so how do we cultivate that in a community of people that there's no expectations on us to do anything with each other other than to just be there with each other? And that doesn't happen just by showing up. It happens by showing up over and over and over again, right?
And finding, and the hope would be finding a way to fall in love with all these people you're meeting and who they are and their souls, and
I'll be honest with you, Bates. I think that if you just make the commitment to showing up on a regular basis, that ritual alone opens you up to the rest.
Absolutely.
It cracks your heart wide open.
It does. I'll second that emotion.
Yeah.
Cracks your heart wide open, and all of a sudden, your life, because we've gotten to do this together before, and we're doing it now, but it looks different. But there's something really big and beautiful happening right now, and a lot of us are starting to work together and barter and exchange ideas.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to just be products. It doesn't have to just be a business. Our business, I built it because through all the communities I ever saw, what I started building, but it was other people that gave me the ideas, like Daniel said, hey, let's look at this direction, but other possibilities. That's what built all of She Life Ministries and everything we're doing, is these people giving input and then saying, okay, that's my job. I'll go put this together and I'll use my marketing skills from a lifetime and we'll create something that can hold everybody and support everybody and do it for good. And so that's what we're creating now. We out of all of this, we get to support each other, and the Sundays is the place that we get to do it without business, without having. But you create the business. What I saw is you created a business, and those communities that created businesses, they survived. The ones that didn't have a business, it was more of a social type community. There's no organized anything to hold the community together. And if we're talking about larger, even smaller communities like individuals, little towns and cities, but you got to create this container that people can get along in. And if you can bring about a potluck and get to know these people, man, the stuff that's going to explode from all of us that participates, it's going to blow your mind.
Well, I think we're hitting about the 25-minute mark. I think I'd like to continue this conversation a few more times before we have the final, well, I don't say the final, the actual first church service.
It's not far away.
No.
It's and next Sunday.
But no, let's keep talking. Comment on the videos. Talk to Bates, talk to me, and let's see what we can come up with. Let's all come together on a Sunday, eat some food, bring your A game, bring the best food you can cook. And bring your grandmother's recipe, and let's just all sit down and have a good time.
Healthy food makes healthy communities. I think did I ever hear that, or I just make it up?
I think you just
I
made
think
it
it's
up. I don't
made
know.
up. Hey guys, we love you from G Life Ministries and your community. Come on out, visit us this next Sunday, not this Sunday, but the last one of the week, right before Memorial Day of the month. And namaste, namaskar, amen, and amen to you. Have a good one.